Hi, Kitty and Peter. Thank you very much for allowing me to interview you today. I'm going to ask you a few questions about your experiences in the war, if that's okay. Where were you born and what was life like before the war?
I just had a normal childhood like everybody else. I actually had a wonderful childhood because I lived in a wonderful locality near the mountains, and so it was just a wonderful place to live.
Where it was.
It was the southern part of Poland, on the border with Poland and the Czech Republic, so very close to the frontier. In fact, close to all other frontiers, the German frontier as well.
Yeah, it was.
All the history you can play.
It was a town called Bielsko.
Yeah, the town I was born in was called Bielsko, and it was a German town, and it was a Polish town. It changed hands so many times because the countries had changed hands. So politically, that is.
What happened to your family when the war started?
When the war started, everybody started to flee because we were very close to two frontiers, and both were enemies. They were all German occupied. So everybody had to flee. And there was only one place you could flee, and that was eastwards. There was no other way. Because if you fled north, you went not to the sea. So you couldn't, there was a limit where you could go. So people fled eastwards. So that was the thing to do. But of course, it wasn't possible. After time, people got stranded, and that's what actually happened. Yeah.
You fled to Lublin.
Well, that was the stop of the capital at that point. So we fled to this place called Lublin, yes, which is quite a large town. But then that was occupied by the Germans very quickly. We came under German occupation.
But you were all pushed into a ghetto.
Oh, yes, of course. As soon as the Germans came, they rounded people up, segregated people, and all the Jews were taken to a ghetto and imprisoned in the ghetto originally. Yeah, lot of worse things happened. But that was the beginning.
What were the rules that were put in place in the ghetto?
Strict rules. You couldn't go anywhere. You were restricted to a certain area. You were imprisoned in that little area, and of course they were deporting people. If the Germans walked in and started deporting people, killing people off. So that was the next thing that happened. So people started fleeing wherever they could, the big cities into the countryside. There was only a limit how you could flee. And of course, you had to have documentation as well everywhere, and that was a very difficult thing to get them during the war. We knew that they wanted to kill us. Okay, yeah. We knew that. So everybody had to try and save themselves as best they could. That was the main object of the exercise, to try and evade the enemy. Difficult because they were everywhere and were controlling you everywhere. Yeah. So it wasn't something that you could escape.
Yeah.
Impossible.
So when did you find out that you had to go to Auschwitz? Or?
Well, yeah, it was a long time before I went into Auschwitz. Other things that happened, deportations and escapes and various things, and but eventually we were caught and brought into the camp. Yeah.
What was life like living in the camp?
Basically, try to save your life. It was on the line every single day of the moment. You were liable to be killed, so your life was hanging on the thread all of the time. You know, that was life. It wasn't a life as you understand it.
What happened when you left Auschwitz?
I was on the death march when I left Auschwitz, walking barefoot in the snow, sleeping in the snow for days on end, you know, without any food or water, or eating snow, in fact. So it's just too much to actually be able to just tell you in a few minutes, yeah.
How did you adjust to living in England after the war?
Difficult, pretty difficult to adjust. Yeah, yeah. It didn't take a few days. It took years to adjust to a normal life. Yeah.
Can you tell us why it's been so important for you to share your experiences with other people?
It's important for people to know what had happened because you never know when it can happen again, and you don't know to whom it can happen. It can happen to anybody. We don't know what's happening in the world, do we? So people have to know what can happen in certain circumstances. People need to understand that and be able to guard against it, isn't it? You know, take some measures if it's possible to do that. That's the object of the exercise, to warn people what can happen. Yeah. Life isn't just a smooth thing all the time. And if you've got hostilities like a war, all manner of things happen.
Thank you for allowing me to interview you both today. To learn more about Kitty's story, I'd recommend reading Kitty's book, Return to Auschwitz, which you can find at the National Holocaust Centre, holocaust.org.uk.